Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, and teachers of Great Millstone, and the like-minded men who may not be part of Great Millstone but are pushing the same doctrine. Given to Apostle Tahar and down, initially from his elders at One West, and initially from Elder Abba Bivens, through the spirit of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Salutations to the elect men, women, and children of Ba'ath Dawadah, the house of David, who are predestined to be saved in these last days. So, Lord's will, to be edifying. It's a more inspired, land backing, inspired from the elders who've gone into this topic. I mean, I'm very young, novice, but I truly believe the Latinos, Native Americans, and the Hispanics are of the Northern Kingdom. Simple as that. So, that's my belief, my faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, yeah, what I've been taught. So I'm just gonna, Lord's will, go into a few scriptures and go into a few paragraphs in a few books, and it will be hopefully edifying to the elect. So this is totally inspired from GMS Page Master, Psalms 85, and 11. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. Clearly inspired from Yahweh Shem Yahushai. I should have said leading me to the brother, to the elder, to get the scripture, because sometimes you go through scriptures in your mind and they all don't come out at the time, So, but yeah, that's a beautiful scripture. So, the Lord's will, and I'm rambling on a bit. So, where are we? Let's just go here. So, obviously, we've got the scriptures, the Holy 1611th edition. I'm just going to read a few. It's going to be off the telephone, off the phone. So, but not out of my actual Bible. But I'm put that there as an example. So I'm going to read, just to edify, just a few paragraphs out of each one of these books. Just to get to improve the point. So, but we're sure, the scriptures are the first and foremost. So I'm going to go to, where am I going to go first? I'm going to go to Salakia. Let me go to Kings. Let me go to Kings. 2 Kings 17. Start at 23. For the children of Israel, this is talking about the Northern Kingdom, yeah? Wow. Yeah, for the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them. Until the Lord, Yahweh, removed Israel, as the Northern Kingdom, out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants, the prophets. So it was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, and from Kutath, and from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Shapar-Vaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. This also goes into the woman at the well. Yeah, ye know not what ye worship. You can use this scripture to get understanding of when Yahushua spoke to that woman. Yeah, in the well, at the well. So I'm not going to go into that right now. So we're going to go to, let me go to here. Second address. So I'm just going to get straight to the point here. Right. 40. So over a period of time, you know, the tribes, the Northern Kingdom, the leaders, whoever, of the North decided to go to what we now know as America, Babylon the Great specifically. The second address 13th chapter explains what happened, what occurred. So what I'm going to do now is just read an extract out of one of these books, and it'll be the first one is The History of the American Indians. And I'm just going to get straight to the point on these. And it's on page 13. So in this scripture, he goes, James Adair, sorry, in the book, James Adair goes into evidences of customs, observations of what he's seen when he observed the Northern Kingdom, or parts of the Northern Kingdom. So from circumcision to even language. So, and his conclusion was that they are of the nation of Israel, specifically the the Northern Kingdom, which consists from Ephraim down to Issachar. So I'm going to read page 13 at the bottom paragraph. And it reads, "From the most exact observations I could make in the long term, I traded among the Indian, I don't like saying it, but Indian American. I was forced to believe them linearly descended from the Israelites, either while they were a maritime power or soon after the general captivity. The latter, however, is most probable. This descent I shall endeavour to prove from their religious rites, civil, marital, martial customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and a variety of particulars, which will at the same time make the reader thoroughly acquainted with nations of which it may be said to this day very little have been known." So that's the same. I'm giving a quick summary of what he went into, what he observed. Yeah, but he clearly says in his conclusion that they believe them lineally descended from the Israelites. We get into this word linearly. Like. So, linearly, in a way that relates to a person's lineage, the members of a person's family who are directly related to that person and who lived a long time before him or her. So that was just an extract from, obviously read the scriptures first, The History of the American Indians. Now we'll go to, first and foremost, I'm going to say that before I even got these other books, through the spirit of Yahweh Shai and the teachings of the elders and like-minded men, I could see that the so-called Latinos, Native Americans, and were of the nation. Simple as that, But not everybody can see it. So I'm just Lord's will. I'm adding a little bit of something it's definitely already been brought out by the elders. So I'm gonna go to First, I'm going to read this from this is the book here. It's called Christopher Columbus and the Participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese Discoveries. And I don't know how you can discover something that's already there, or people that are already there. So, but anyway, we'll ignore that. So I'm going to read from an extract from page 96, 97, and probably a bit of 98. So I'm going to jump around a little bit, yeah? So this is page 96 of that book that I just mentioned. A bit further, halfway down the page, a Portuguese Marano of Villa Flor, who, strange to say, also called himself Montesinos, and afterward assumed the name Aaron Levy, informed Manasseh that he had mingled in South America with the Jews of the 10 tribes, or the Israelites, or Judeans, Israelites of the 10 tribes, I say. I don't like the word Jews because it wasn't used until around 1775, that I found in a different book, courtesy of Elder Malcolm. Manasseh's book attracted much attention and was translated into Latin, Spanish, Dutch, English, Italian, and Hebrew. Yeah, so I'm now going to jump over to page 97. It's again middle of the page. It is not improbable that the Israelites who were driven from, so it says Jews, so I'll replace the word, yeah, who were driven from Nineveh by Shalmaneser, wandered into uninhabited regions. Yeah, that's what they say. All right, so I've already read that in 2 Kings 17 and 24, but they said in this book they wandered, but that's not what the scriptures say. And the scriptures say this: 2nd Esdras, 13th chapter and the 40th verse. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osei the king, whom Shalmaneser, that we just read in this book, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Sarath. So you can, if you want to, you can go into 1 Kings 9 and 27 and 1 Kings 10 and 22, which explains King Solomon sending the Hamite his navy to a place of Ophir, which took a journey of 3 years round trip to collect goods like gold, peacocks, which is turkeys, and other things. So that explains how through the Spirit, it explains how the 10 tribes or the Northern Kingdom knew where to go. Yeah, because those paths, those maritime routes were already traveled. You know, so I hope your Lord will like that. That explains that point. So I'm going to just go into and read one more thing actually out of this Lost Tribes in Promised Land here. It actually goes into the man, what's his name? Portuguese Marano, yeah, the Portuguese guy Marano. So In September 1644, a Portuguese Marano, named Antonio de Montesinos, arrived in Amsterdam after having lived for some years in South America. This is on page 362 of Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. Now I'm going to jump down to page 364, the second to last paragraph. So, second to last paragraph. So this is when Montesino, he'd been in prison. He was praying, had a vision, had a thought or vision in his mind, through the Spirit, had a thought in his mind that the people he'd seen in so-called South America were of the 10 tribes. So I'm just that's a brief summary of it. So I'm going to go down to, so this time he'd been released from prison, and he travelled to the lands. So, right, back in the rugged mountains. So, waving a banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to his signal, the two men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared, bearing 3 men and a woman, all of them so-called Indians. I can't stand that. All of them, I'm going to replace the word Indians with of the Northern Kingdom, to the place where Francisco and Montesinos were standing at the water's edge. The woman got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue, in a tongue that Montesinos could not understand, although he could perceive that he was being identified in the conversation. She then turned to her male companions to explain the situation. Upon hearing her words, they rose, went over to Montesinos, and his utter astonishment said, Shammai, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allahayinawa, Yahweh, Chud. So in being interpreted, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power, the Lord is one. Yeah, they had recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of our language. It says Judaism here, but again, that's another fake religion. Yeah, that's just fake. Judaism is just fake. For want of a better word. A brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue, according to Montesinos, whose fluency in it is as perplexing to the reader of his narrative as is that of the 3 mysterious new companions. They told him, these are the companions, that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph, which was Ephraim, lived on an island nearby. So, I mean, I could read more, but wow, that's yeah. So I'm going back into Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese discoveries. It reads, it's on page 98. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. Roldan's chief argument in support of his view is that language of the so-called natives in Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and the adjoining islands, he contends that it has many resemblances to Hebrew. In fact, he even calls it corrupted Hebrew. Yeah, I'm going to jump down to the bottom of page 98. Their rites and ceremonies, as well as their language, from one of the main arguments in favor of this theory, which is we know is a fact, of descent, circumcision prevailed among the tribes. So it says the word here, Indians. They often bathed in rivers and streams. They refrained from touching the dead and from tasting blood. Yeah, and it goes into it goes into other customs as well. But I'm gonna think that's enough, because I'll be reading, because that's just enough. That's enough evidence. But through the Spirit, Lord's will, it was edifying. But fact is, Luke 8:17. Nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. The truth is going to be declared, and the truth is being declared through the Spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, through his prophets who are on the highways and byways week in, week out. So with that, Lord's will, this was edifying to the elect, and I was all over the place, but I just hopefully Lord's will did it justice. And I say shalom to the elect, from the hopeful elect, shalom.